calling all educators with a passion for teaching and a health for faith. Get ready for a transformative journey with the Educators with Oil podcast, where host Wynette Richardson is dedicated to helping teachers become better through biblical strategies.
Welcome to Educators with Oil. I am your hostess, Wynette Richardson, here to equip, inspire, and pour into educators, especially those of faith who are walking in their purpose. There is a purpose. This is where purpose meets the classroom and the oil flows. Whether you're in the classroom, leading a school, or supporting teachers, this is a place for wisdom, strategies, and a little anointing to keep you going. Thank you again for joining us. I am so excited. We have a special guest today, and her name is Wynette Richardson. She is a speaker, higher education leader, and a coach, among other things. And we are going to talk about that. Being that champion for yourselves. Why don't we champion for ourselves as we do for everybody else? You know, we will go hard to help somebody else or defend someone else. And then we have things in our lives where we are sitting quiet, maybe not. Maybe it's just like we'll speak up and then we don't have that go get them attitude for ourselves. And we're gonna look into that and see what Wynette has for us on this subject. I'm hoping that I'm right. I'll stay in the vein of this topic. So with that said, I'm going to bring Wynette on. Hello, Wynette. How are you?
Hey, good evening. How are you today?
I am great. It's so nice outside. Today was a good day.
Absolutely.
I thought about that once you said that, how I had to champion for myself today. So I'm gonna let you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. It is absolutely an honor and a pleasure to be here. I am Wynette Richardson, the Teacher's Champion. This is year 17. And year 17 for me in the classroom. I've taught K-12. I've taught on the collegiate level, and I've also been an administrator on the collegiate level. And one of the things that I do, like outside of just teaching, I am a speaker, I am a coach, I am an author. And as I have been in the educational space for so many years, I realized that as the educator, we are amazing at being that champion for everybody else, especially our students. But when it comes to us, we put ourselves 5th, 10th. We might get to it this year. We might get to it next year. We're the absolute next to the last thought. And in all actuality, we have to know that we are two champions. And that's what really stopped me in my tracks when I took some time off from the classroom. My parents passed away 14 months within each other. My whole world just came crumbling down. I had no idea what to do, right? And when I took that time off from the classroom, that's when I really learned how to champion for myself, learning what I needed in order to move forward. And after taking that time off and going back into the classroom, I actually became an award-winning professor. So being a champion is near and dear to my heart, but I also know that these are the things that people, especially educators, need in order to truly create the champions that they see every single day.
Oh, I love that. And I know a lot of times we hear that people make these major changes within themselves, and it happens when something happens, something traumatic or some kind of event takes place. Absolutely. That causes us to take a look and say, oh, I mean, we're walking along all this time and then something happens. Yes. Sorry, it has to be your parents or an accident or illness or something. But
Absolutely.
a lot of times that's when change takes place.
Mm-hmm.
I remember somebody, I don't know who said about, it might have been, I'm not even gonna say it's Malcolm X, somebody like that, saying that things don't happen, you don't change until you get angry. If you don't get angry, you don't change, right?
Yes. Right.
So I'm glad that you take a look in yourself. I'm sorry that it had to be your parents, but
Absolutely.
I'm glad you're here. I wouldn't know you. You know, we wouldn't be here having this conversation for somebody else, because there's somebody who needs this. And you know, we want to make all of our trials a testimony, a blessing for somebody else. So I'm glad. I'm not glad that happened to you. I'm glad you had that chance, that in the mirror. So
yes, absolutely.
For that, because that is how I think going forward, I don't want to be like that. I want to see something and make that switch.
Yeah.
So I have to have something, but I'm glad that we are able to make a change.
Absolutely.
So that, yes.
Yes, absolutely.
So you say you teach, you were in the higher education and elementary?
Yes. So I've taught middle school.
Mm-hmm.
I taught 7th grade. And after I taught 7th grade, I taught college, and I currently teach college. And I took a break a little bit from teaching college, and I went back into the K-12 schools. I did alternative education. So it was all high school students. And after that's when I took a break from teaching altogether. And then when I went back into the classroom, I went back to on the collegiate level. So I've had a very wide range. The only grade levels that I have not taught were the littles. And I've only worked with them like in summer camps and things like that. But actually teaching them in the school system, I never taught them in the school system. But other than that, I've taught almost at every level.
Okay. So I have two things, because you said that. I'm glad you said that about the alternative school.
Yes.
So I understand. I watch the students. I teach 2nd grade.
Okay.
So my students, there are times I have to advocate for them, because my students come from Spanish-speaking countries.
Yes.
They're newcomers to this. They're learning the language. Sometimes we attribute their lack of understanding to their language, to the language barrier, right? But then sometimes I can see there's a learning disability. But there is a thing in school districts, I don't know if it's everywhere, where you have to say, give them time. They need to learn the language, and then we'll find out, right? But what if I'm speaking their language? What if it's something as simple as 5 + 5, and they can't remember that? They learn it today, and tomorrow they can't remember. There's something happening that has nothing to do with language. So sometimes I have to go above and say, we need to look at this child. If it's because we don't have the ability to assess the Spanish-speaking student, say it. You know, we'll get somebody. Right. But I understand that, so I can imagine what you had to go through with alternative school, because we attribute everything to behavior or adverse childhood experiences.
Yes.
Maybe you want to talk about that.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing that, because I truly believe in that. And fun fact, let me just throw this out here really quickly, because you said something about it. For a very long time, probably about 6 years, I actually taught at a Spanish-speaking center for a nonprofit. And basically, the students that I taught were all adults. And they all came from different Spanish-speaking countries. And they actually came to class just to learn conversational English so that they can improve their skills, they can get job promotions, they can go to the doctor and be able to have a conversation. And we spent a lot of time talking about that, because as you said, it was like, you know, the language barriers and things like that. But for them, it was a language barrier, but more so now it's behavior. I'm scared to speak, because I know that people are not going to understand me. And that has just come from other stigmas that we've experienced in life, which brings me back to answer your question. When it comes to that, I believe that we do not look at everything from a holistic perspective sometimes. And I like to look at it from the 3E perspective: the environment, their experience, and their exposure. And we cannot we cannot expect for certain things to happen if they've never been exposed. We can't expect for certain things to happen if they don't have the experience. We can't expect certain things to happen, right, if they've never seen these things. And it's important that we understand who we're teaching, who we're educating, who we're coaching, so that we can speak to the language that they need to, that they understand, and where they can listen. And it's very individualized. And working at an alternative school, that's how I had to approach my classroom, because all of my students were all in this particular classroom for different reasons. Mm-hmm. But when we came together, we became a community. It doesn't matter why they're there. The focus is them when they're there. We cannot focus on those things that brought them there, but since they're now in our circles, in our communities, now that's the focus that we have to focus on.
Yeah. So when you say, I'm listening from the part where from a space in my head where you say advocating or championing for somebody.
Yes.
So I can imagine, because I'm going to take this to us, championing to ourselves.
Yeah.
But I can imagine you coming to me, administrator somewhere, saying, this child needs help. He needs to learn this skill. It's very hard because we have to, up under a lot of stuff.
Absolutely.
And then me as an administrator saying, well, he has behavior issues. We're not going to put all that time, that energy there, because what's the use, right? Or whatever we say, because, we can say a lot of things. So absolutely. I can see you having to champion for a lot of different things for a lot of different students. And you're talking about who you're teaching, who you're educating, who you're coaching. So how does that translate into coaching yourself? How does that translate to championing for yourself? Because I can talk about, this child, I understand this child. I know who she is. She had a tough time, but we have broken through, but she needs help in this area. We're going to make this happen. Come on. We have the funds. We have the people. How does that translate to me? Because, I can give you some stories where I had a champion and I asked for some other people to come aboard, and it's hard because we don't want people looking at us like we are a troublemaker, or whatever. But I'm not trying to take your story. But yes, we how do we do that? Translate that into from fighting for our kids to fighting for ourselves.
Yeah, that's real good. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And how does us champion for our students translate into our own lives? The first thing that we have to do is admit that we need some help or somebody to champion for ourselves or to help champion for us. Mm-hmm. Admit it. Because if somebody asks you, how are you doing today? Oh, I'm doing fine, knowing that you're crumbling on the inside. You took everything that you had inside of you to walk into the building that morning. How are you doing today? Oh, I'm doing great. No, you're not. You're crumbling on the inside. No, I am not okay. Identify what you need and not mask it. What do you need?
Yeah.
The first thing is to ask yourself, what do you need? When we are able to identify what we need, then we can start, because it's a process, right? It's a process to start identifying how to get that need met. So as an example, I'll use myself as an example. I was always a person like, do you need help? Nope, I got it. I'm good. Nope, I got it. I'm good. I can figure it out. And when I'm in the process of trying to figure it out, I'm crumbling because I'm already overwhelmed. I'm already on 1,000. I already I already have all these other things going on and I'm barely holding on, but I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to stop and identify what did I need. And when I realized that I needed certain help in certain areas of my life, then that's when I started to seek that help. And when I started to seek that help, then I was able to maneuver a lot better. I was able to show up a little bit better in the classroom. I was able to be a little bit more patient with my students, right? Because now I've identified my need and I'm getting the proper help that I need in that need. And as an example, a small example, if it is, we'll just use for an instance, like cooking, right? You're tired by the time you get home, you don't feel like cooking, right? Have meal prep delivered or create meal prep, whatever the case may be. Like identifying your need and getting the help that you need in that area so that you can take back that 15 minutes, that 30 minutes, that 1 hour to pour back into you. The second thing is, what are those things that you need in order to fill your cup up? What do you need to fill your cup up? As an example, I am a very extroverted introvert, right? People always think that I'm super extroverted because I am. I'm always on 1,000, right? I really am. But in order for me to be an extrovert, I have to have those introverted moments, if that makes any sense. But I didn't know that before because I didn't know what filled up my cup.
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
Oh, that's me. You're talking about me. I get it. It makes sense to me. If it makes sense to you, it's making sense out there to somebody else.
I hope this is really helping somebody. Yes. I really do, because and if you're listening out there, if you're listening live, if you're listening to the replay, I want you to ask yourself this question: what fills my cup? What fills my cup? And be honest with yourself. And sometimes they're not tangible things. Sometimes it's not a material thing. Sometimes it is sitting 5 minutes and nobody is talking to you. Nobody is calling your name. The only thing you can hear is the breath that's coming out of your body.
Yeah.
Even if it's that small, right? One of the things that always refills my cup is being around my family. This weekend, I was just around my family all weekend. I'm super tired, but it has filled my cup all the way up. I am working out of my overflow right now because my cup is so full. Because I spent the entire weekend with my family, especially my 4-year-old great niece. Right? She was up under me every time I turned around. Every time I turned around, she was trying to hold my hand. And I was like, oh my gosh. But guess what? I know that family fills my cup. So I need to make sure that I am around them. Mm-hmm. And sometimes family equals my friends, because now my friends are now my family, right? So being around those people, that's going to help fill up my cup.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, knowing when I need the help, right? Mm-hmm. Knowing what fills up my cup. And then the third thing really quickly is advocating for yourself. No is a complete sentence. If you don't feel like it, no is a complete sentence. Advocate for yourself. If you don't feel like it, then say no.
Yeah. A lot of times we say yes, and then we hate it. Like, we hate it. You hate it. You're grumpy through the whole process with that. I don't care if it's for giving me some water and I don't want to do it. And okay, you're just angry. Why? Yes. Why do that to yourself? Because you're causing you pain. You're not causing them pain because they're getting what they want.
Yes.
Yeah. That's absolutely great.
Yes. Yes. And it's the same thing that we do for our students, right? We figure out what they need. We tell them to advocate for themselves. Right? Like, it's the same thing that we do for them. Now we're just asking ourselves so that we can give it to ourselves.
Yeah. There's 2 ladies I work with.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to tell them to watch this. I didn't send them a message today, but we do the same thing. We teach English language learners, and we are, when you say overflow, I call it something different every week. What we do, we don't have. You're not supposed to speak out of lack. We are. I don't know how you say it without saying lack. We don't. Our resources are slim when it comes to bilingual teachers. So, in order for those students to get their Spanish speaking teacher, we have to have 2 classes. And us 3, we're English speaking part, where we're just the overflow. We're just like that placeholder until they to that Spanish speaking teacher. Call it what you will. That's what it is, right? We have to teach in English, not teach English, but we have teaching, and essentially we're teaching English. So one of the teachers is so funny. Me and her, we had this joke, but it's not a joke. It's so serious, but it's like, it's kind of, I don't know. We walk past each other and we put on this big grin. It's like so fake. I have a real smile, and I ask her, "Where's your smile?" And she's like, "Do that." It's like a joke, but it's not a joke because we don't want to smile through this, right? And so I have learned. I'm good now. I'm really good. But we do that. We've been doing that about a year and a half. No, 2 years. This is the end of the school year, so we've been doing that for 2 years, right? And I spoke to another one, and this morning we were talking. She was like, "I'm up, right? Huh? Right?" And I was like, "It's a good day." She was like, "Yeah." I was talking to my husband, and I said, "I gotta be more grateful for my job. I really have to. We make good money. We do this, and I love what I do." She had have an insight and say, "I need to be this." I was just talking about that. So is that those moments where we have to see what it is that we need, because we are working. We actually love what we do. I say that we love what we do, but sometimes we don't like our jobs, and then why? What could we do about that? So here's where you come in.
And that's real, right? I mean, absolutely real. And one of the things that I've just tried to implement in my own life is just having a spirit of gratitude. It doesn't always feel good, but it's always going to be worth it. And in that moment, I have to remind myself that, okay, we can get through this. All right, we can get through this. It doesn't feel good, but we can get through this, because I totally understand, right, where you're coming from. And that's some people, I don't want to say that it's the best way, but it's definitely a place where you can truly tap into who you are. And when you tap into who you are in a place where it may not look like abundance, you can create that, because we are speaking that. We can create the things that we need by what we speak and how we believe and what we know that can come to pass. When we start to believe that, then it's going to start to shift in our classroom. And one of the things that, and I say that because in my classroom, one of the things that I ask my students every single day is, how are you feeling? From 1 to 100. Are you at a 1 being the lowest, 100 being the highest? Like, where do you fall? What is your number? That's my favorite question. What is your number? And sometimes they say, "Oh, I'm at a 50, 75, well, tell me why you're a 50. And I was like, "I'm just not feeling it today." I said, "Okay, that's cool." I said, "So since you're not feeling it today, just give it all you have. Give it your best. You can still remain at a 50, but you're not going to operate from a 50, right? This is how I'm really feeling, but I'm still going to give it all that I have." And so what I'm saying is, a lot of times we may not have everything that we desire, but that's when we really tap into our why. The abundance that comes from tapping into your why is absolutely priceless. And it shifts the entire atmosphere.
Absolutely. That is like words to live by. If you get more energy, actually gain that energy. You get to that, what people call that runner's high, where you're really tired and exhausted. Then you just put in that extra little bit, and then you're good. You're just like running on air by then. And you're like, okay, I got this. You get that momentum going again, and you start over because you felt like, I'm doing this because I'm grateful because I have this or I have that. And then this is really a great job. I'm actually educating people. I'm teaching people skills that they're going to need for life. So I might have been had an attitude yesterday, but today this is a new day, and I'm gonna give it what I have. I was listening to a book today. It's called the one thing, and he's saying you can he's saying, knock this thought right out of my head. He's saying, are you doing your best? Is this the best that can be done?
Oh, okay. I like that.
I thought of that because I'm doing my best. I'm at 50. I'm doing my best. This is as much as I got. The best that can be done. No, let's work. And then you're going to get that momentum going. So I like that. Let's work from something else, and we're going to then we're going to feel better. Absolutely.
Absolutely. That is so true. That is so true. Because every day we're not going to feel like it. And that's when that inner champion has to be unleashed. You know? Yeah. Absolutely.
So do you think sometimes we're going on, we're just walking in routine?
Yes.
Do you think sometimes we don't know that we're in need? We just keep on going. We don't know that we need something to fill our cup, as you say. That could be. We walking around, people, you trying to help somebody, and they're like, I don't need help, I'm good. No, I don't think so. But
yeah, absolutely. We are definitely routine oriented, habit oriented people. We just are. And when things shift, we do not always handle the shifts properly. And sometimes we are not in spaces to think differently sometimes. And I use this all the time. And I know you've heard of like growth mindset and fixed mindset. A lot of times we operate from a fixed mindset, not intentionally, but it's just become habit or routine. You have to be at work at this time. It takes you this amount of time to get to work. You need to leave your house at this time. If you leave 1 minute late, you're going to run into traffic and you're going to be 25 minutes late for work, right? So, routine or habit, whatever the case may be, however you want to use that term, you have to leave your house at a certain time in order for you to get to work on time. And so I just truly believe that sometimes as people, that's just how we operate, because we know that that's what it's going to look like. And we do not like change, right? I'm putting my hands up, right? I'm not the best with change. I have, definitely learned how to shift and pivot, but we have a difficult time with that. And because we have a difficult time with that, when things aren't working the way that it used to work, when we were thinking like this, we get upset. And so it's time that we start operating from a growth mindset.
Yeah.
And when we operate from a growth mindset, it's how can we continue to improve, or how can things be a little different? And I know that you've been teaching for a while, just like I've been teaching for a while. We even see in our classrooms that students are now, they're different. They're very different. Even in our own classrooms, I started teaching with transparencies. I used to have marker all up and down my arm. When I came home every day, I had chalk dust all over my hands. Now I am clearly clicking a button and a screen pops up. You know what I'm saying? So we have to start operating from a different mindset. Now, does it take time? Absolutely, it takes time. But we have to start shifting how we think. When we shift how we think, our moods change. When we shift how we think, our lives change.
Yeah. You know what happened to me?
Yes.
I think I said it last week because I had LaDonna Croft was on here. I don't know if you see her on the screen when we have our calls sometimes. She's next level. And I was saying to her, I had a coach. I had two coaches at the same time. They were that mindset. One was the mindset coach.
Yes.
And not him. I asked the woman one, and I said to her, well, when is my thinking going to actually change? People saying, repeat this and say these things. When is this transformation going to take place? Because I didn't believe what I was saying. Back, I'm like, girl, right? So people, we can talk to people all day long. You're talking about something we call, in that LaDonna understands, that world where we talk about that paradigm shift. We're living in this paradigm, and we have to shift to a whole other, I don't want to say world, a whole other place in life. How do I get to this, from this state to this state? You saying we need to have that growth mindset, but I don't have it. What do you mean? This is how I think. How am I going to stop thinking here and I have to think open? I don't have it. Because we say some things, we got to make it practical. I don't know how to make it practical, but people listen. It wasn't practical to me. You're telling me practically to think this stuff. I think because I got into the Bible too. I already was reading the Bible, but I got into it to see what it was saying to me. We studied the Bible. What was the history? What was this? Was it saying to me? So I'm that person. I'm sitting here. My name is Lisa. I'm a teacher struggling a little bit. I want to think growth. You tell me, what is that first step you said, think gratitude. How do I open my mind up to its, like that plant, instead of, in that little terrarium or whatever, that little, that fake little flower.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We have to expose ourselves, and we have to expose ourselves, and we have to want to allow this change to happen. One of the things that I do personally is I have this affirmation that I speak every single day, and I used to just kind of keep it to myself. But if you follow me on Threads, it's Wynette Richardson 1. I truly post it every single day. Now people are starting to reshare it. People are starting to comment and put their own affirmations, etc. So my daily affirmation is: abundance is my birthright and I am in alignment. And I say it every day and I believe it. And Ronette, I promise you, it's probably been, I'm going to say at least 6 months or so, or maybe a little less, that I've been saying this. And as I continue to say it, I even start to believe it even more, because now things are happening, right? Like when I started this, I just started because I just kept saying abundance, 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 and then all those other things like added to that affirmation. But when I continued to speak it, I started to believe it a little more. And I started to believe it a little more. And then people were like, oh, well, I see that you're posting this every day. I'm going to, join in with you. And I was like, okay. And as I continued to do it, like, abundance started to continue to happen. And I'm not even talking about financial abundance. I'm just talking about just abundance in general. And being in alignment, because if I even began to tell you some of the things that it only has to be alignment that it would happen, right? And so, one, we have to expose ourselves to things so that we can start to believe. Because I wasn't exposed to abundance in a certain area. My exposure to abundance was just money. Yeah. But when I got exposed to abundance beyond money, I was like, whoa, wait a minute, right? And so exposure. I had my students, one of my students was like, I'm having trouble like starting my essay. What do I, because I teach English. I have trouble starting my essay. Like, do you have something that I can use to like maybe help me to like try to like think out of the box, or, you know, just start thinking a little bit. And I actually have this book. It was a gift to me. It's like 300 writing prompts. And so the day, I think it's still here, the sticker. Yeah. Yes. So I said, wherever I open up the book, that's what I'm going to give them as a prompt. And so my sticky note here it's indicating the prompt, and it says, if someone told you to color outside of the lines, what would that mean to you? And this is actually a prompt for everybody that is out there listening, right? I'll read it one more time. If someone told you to color outside of the lines, what would that mean to you? And the responses that I got were absolutely incredible, and they were all different types. So why am I sharing this with you? I'm sharing this with you all because you have to expose yourself to things that are not necessarily your normal, or things that you may not do on your own. Sometimes you just have to just do it so that you can get that exposure. And once that happens, you will just continue to just allow things to happen. Allow yourself to be exposed to different things. That means you're learning now. Now you're growing. Now you're researching. Now you want to know more. And so it trickles down. And then eventually something's going to happen in your life. And you're like, oh, you know what? I know that is not this situation is going to not last always. Oh, I know that if I believe that things can change, I know if I sit down and take the time to write, to express myself through words, through journaling, I know that my situation is going to change.
Absolutely. I'm like, amen. I'm trying to Absolutely. That's amazing, because like I said, I'm like, when is my mindset going to actually change?
Yeah.
But I started being exposed to more and more people.
Yeah.
I have been exposed to people who led me to people who led me to people.
Yes.
And that's the whole world that I didn't know existed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's how you champion for yourself. That is exactly how you champion for yourself. Because think about it, right? I'm sorry, I get excited. I'm gonna calm down. I'm sorry. But think about it, right? Think about a team. I am not the biggest sports fan, but I study sports. We'll make it make sense later, right? I'm not a big sports fan, but I study sports. And when I study sports, I look at, of course, all the people that are on the team. And then then I think about the practices and all the things that it takes for us to get to the game. Now, sometimes after we play all of the games, there's a championship. When we look at the team, everybody on the team has their own skill set. And then when you bring all the skill sets together, you practice, you strategize, etc., then those are the things that help guide you to the championship. Now, that doesn't mean that your team is going to win the championship all the time, but now you have been exposed to the things and the skills that other people can provide you. So now you know your teammate that this is what they possess. Now I know if I need this, let me go to this teammate. If we need to do this, we need to go to this teammate. But we all are on the team together. When we work the skills that we have together, then we can win the championship. When we connect ourselves and expose ourselves to people that know people that know people that know people, we're only going to grow.
Absolutely.
And that's how we champion for ourselves.
Oh, I love this. This is, So back to that, why don't we do that? It's because we weren't exposed. Sounds like we didn't know. You don't know what you don't know. When I was a kid, I was about 17, 18, maybe. I wasn't 19. I was about 18.
Yeah.
And I had a neighbor. He used to say, he talk about places he went and he's going. I said, I don't care. I don't need to go there. And he's like, that's because you never been. And I was like, what are you talking about? That didn't even make sense.
Yeah.
Like, I want to go because I don't need to go. I'm living every day. I don't need to go.
Right.
You never been. You don't want to go places because you never been anywhere.
Right.
Understand.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole world outside of the town I lived in, outside of the New Jersey that I never saw before, and I didn't. But once I got outside of New Jersey, I'm like, ooh, these places are nice. I love going to beaches. I love traveling. I like going to islands.
Yes.
Because I'm gone. And so
yes. And you know, and even starts like so young, right? And I'm just going to use this as an example. I have a 4-year-old great niece, and her birthday's coming up, and we're like, what do you want to do for your birthday? Remember, she's 4, so she's about to turn 5. Oh, I want to go to the beach. Dude, what? Like, she's requested to go to the beach for her birthday. Why? Because when she was maybe 2, maybe younger, she went to the beach. And she's probably been to the beach almost every year since she's been born. So she loves the beach. Now she's exposed to going to the beach and or traveling for her birthday. And so here we are. Her request is going to the beach for her birthday, right? So it can start as young as being a child.
Exposure.
Right. And if we never expose ourselves, we can stay in the mindset that we've had from since we were kids.
Yeah.
If we don't expose ourselves.
Yeah. I like this conversation because I was thinking when you talk about championing for yourself, right? You're thinking that you have to fight for something.
Yeah.
No, it is, but it's not. It's like, no, I have to be bigger and want to be bigger. And this is how. And it's nothing about I was little. It's just I wasn't in a growth place where I can grow and I want to do and be more. I don't want to be the same person that I was yesterday. I don't even know who that. If I look back 10 years ago, if somebody from 10 years ago comes to my life right now, they won't recognize me. They will try to talk about something. They won't recognize me. And people get upset because, like, why are you acting brand new? I don't know. My cousin said to me one time, we used to say things, right? Probably not even 10 years ago. We used to say, I said something to her. And then she recently said to me, oh, you lowered your standards? No, I didn't lower my standards. I raised my standards because now I feel, because it was like, I don't want to say it online, how to say it. Place I wouldn't shop, right? Place I wouldn't shop before, right? And it's because I heard this. And then she's like, oh, you lower your standards? No, God's going to bless me wherever I go. Who am I to hear my blessing because I won't go there?
Right.
I won't go there. I won't shop there. If I need to run in that store, I'm going to run in that store. I'm not going to stop God from blessing me because I don't want them to be blessed.
That's it.
And she didn't understand until I explained that. And I'm like, no, I raised my standards because I'm going to flourish. And me saying I don't want them to be blessed, that's blocking, that's blocking my.
Yeah.
Now she understands, like, okay, all right. Blocking my own stuff, trying to block theirs. And it's not how it works. And so, I could talk about growth and
yes. And I think that, and I truly believe that's the thing, right? Especially as educators, we are in a very selfless career. And we are people that are very empathetic. We absolutely love what we do. We want to see our students, our scholars, like thrive, all of those great things. And because we spend so much time truly pouring into other people, we really forget to pour into us. And I'm not saying like we do not pour into us. What I am saying is like, how do we really rejuvenate ourselves? How do we really, pour into our cups daily so that we can move forward? right? So that we can do the things that we need to do, not only for ourselves, but for everybody that we're connected to, our students, our families, etc. And, I was actually just using this as an example. I was talking to a friend earlier today. I was like, remember back in the day, we would, have maybe $20 in our pockets, and we needed some gas. So we needed to stretch the $20. So we just put $10 in our gas tank, and it didn't move the needle, but for so far. And we'll drive as long as we can drive on that $10. And that $10 will maybe only get us 2 days. Then the next 2 days, we got to put more money into our gas tanks, right? And so sometimes we just put enough money in our gas tank just to make it to the next day. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we put enough in our gas tank because we only have $5 in our pocket, and that's all we're given. So sometimes we, as educators, only give that little bit just to make it to the next day. But think about if we truly fill up our cups. Mm-hmm. I mean, fill it up to the brim and have some running over. Mm-hmm. If we're doing great now, can you imagine how amazing we will be for our students? Then our students will see how amazing we are. Then that's going to have a trickle down effect. Yeah. Even in the situations that they are in, they know that when they come to your classroom, that they are going to be loved, they're going to learn, they're going to thrive, they're going to flourish, they are going to even become that champion that they know that they are, because they see the champion that's inside of you.
Yeah, I I hear you saying this mindset shift, this habit shift. And now I was going to ask you, well, what does that look like? But I don't even have to ask you. You've been describing it where I'm giving, but I have to be filled up first. I just can't give. So I'm getting these practical examples. I'm getting like what I need today to make it. And then I used to say, I'm going to tell you what I used to say. I used to say, give the students all you have, and then go back tomorrow and do it again. Right? Mm-hmm. I didn't fill in that part where you have to be filled to do it again the next day. I left that whole little section out because that doesn't even make sense. Even though, we could have had a conversation and we would have talked about what fills us up, but now I can see practically what it looks like. I have to find out what gives me joy.
Yes.
I go and give that to my students, and I feel good about it. I'm happy. I'm walking around happy. People talking about happiness doesn't have to happen. I don't know if that's biblical. I don't know where that comes from, but I'm happy. I want to be happy. We talk about joy. Yeah, the joy of the Lord is my strength, but I want to be happy.
Yes.
Too. Nothing has to happen. I still want to be happy, and I'm happy if I'm giving to my students. That's something that fills me up.
Yes.
Really. So
yes.
I'm loving this.
Yes, that is so awesome, and you're absolutely right, and that is something that's really important. Like, as you can probably tell, I love to laugh, and sometimes when something's really funny, I'll really laugh. And I've actually done that in class before, and I was like, I am so sorry, but something happened, and it was so funny. Like, everybody laughed, but it was so funny to me. And so one of the things, if I'm teaching an online class, I'll always ask my students to just put their favorite emoji in the chat when we're coming back from a break or when they're done doing something, whatever the case may be. And I was like, but make sure it's classroom appropriate, right? Like, put your classroom appropriate emoji in. And so they'll put all these crazy emojis in. And then I would just start laughing. Like, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? And then they started to just put in crazy random emojis just to get my reaction, just to hear me laugh. And then they would just laugh. We would spend 5 minutes just having pure moments of joy, right? And so I said that to say, when we start to create that atmosphere, when we start to know what it is that we need, how to maneuver that, how to translate that, it's going to overflow for everybody. Everybody's going to start to partake in that. And at that point, they were just giving me all these crazy emojis, and it just brought us all joy because they realized that I like to laugh.
Yeah. And that is something that fills you up. It's something that fills your cup. We have to, when you say that, we have to find what it is. Yes. And the way you find what fills your cup is to experience life.
Yes.
Sitting in the house, maybe you can get a little bit from, you like watching comedies on TV or something, but after a while, watching TV is not going to do it because it's going to be mundane. And you're going to have to experience life. You're going to have to get out, and it doesn't even have to be anything great. It could be going for a walk to the park, in that fresh air, whatever it is, to get out and out of that routine. I would say sometimes we don't know we need to be out, and then all of a sudden we start walking, we feel that fresh air flowing through our veins, through our brains, and you feel better.
Yes, so, absolutely. Yes, you're absolutely right.
You said you were having you have something coming up soon?
Yeah, I do actually. I am actually teaching a free master class on balance on May 29th, which is a Thursday at 7:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you go to my Instagram bio, or if I can put it in the chat. Am I able to put it in the chat now? I can provide you all the link.
So you see the comments on YouTube? Can you see the comments on YouTube? You can put it in there. I can copy it and put it. But do you see the comments on YouTube? Do you have that section on your screen?
Let me see if I can connect it really quickly. Yes. So
on your screen right now on this StreamYard. You don't have that?
Yeah, I think I do.
Okay, so you can put it in there. Whatever you put out, I'll put it out. Put it over there.
Yeah. So I would love, to.
So you said this is
I'll just give it to you. I'll give it to you so you can put it in the chat. So yeah, you can go ahead and register for the free masterclass. It is Thursday, May 29th at 7:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And basically, I am going to discuss how do we find that balance as an educator to make sure that we are being that champion that we need for ourselves. We want to make sure that we are creating that space that we need. We're making sure that we are creating the opportunities that we need in order to be able to grow and to be that champion for ourselves. Because there are some times where we're running off of steam. If I can keep it absolutely 1,000 on this podcast right now, I am not at my 100, right? I'm really not at my 100. But I also know that when I'm done with this, I'm shutting everything down for the rest of the night because I have to recharge.
Yeah.
I'm very aware of that, right? So how do we understand as educators how to have that balance? What are those strategies and those skills that we need? How do we even get to, because we know there are times, right, where we don't have that balance. And there's never really truly that quote unquote balance, because there's always going to be more here than there, all those great things. But how do we find that balance that works for us? And that's what we're going to talk about.
Oh, so, that's cool.
I'm sorry.
I'm just talking. I said that's cool. That's exciting. So that is May 29th?
May 29th is a Thursday, May 29th at 7:00 Eastern Standard Time. So if you are free, I would love for you all to chime in. You have to register. There's the link to register. If you have any questions, you can just reach out to me on social media. That would be great, just to make sure that, if you have any other questions or anything like that, all of my information is there. You can reach me at Wynette Richardson 1 on Instagram and Wynette Richardson on LinkedIn. Definitely, you can reach out for any questions. If you have any questions about the registration process for the masterclass, please let me know. Definitely, register. Come on in. We're going to have a good time. And most importantly, we're going to learn how to be that champion that we need for ourselves.
Okay, that's exciting. So I'm putting both of these in the comments on YouTube. so that they can get it. And then I'll put it in the description as well when I
Okay.
get up. So that's exciting, because just this conversation right here, you see the comments, people are, this is making sense to me.
Oh, good. Oh, wow. Awesome. Okay, good.
This
Absolutely.
is, we are walking and we don't know how to get out of this funk. Some of us can. And then we have somebody, somebody wants to know will there be another session? Will it?
So we are going to host another master class outside of May 29th. But if you are unable to, excuse me, if you're unable to come, you can definitely still register, and I can provide you with the information with the next masterclass that we're going to have. So we will have them a little bit periodically so that people can join in.
Oh, that's nice. I appreciate that.
Oh, of course.
I'm going to look at my calendar and see. I know there's one day I have something. I don't know if that's a Thursday or a Tuesday. It feels like it's
a Thursday. May 29th is a Thursday.
I was thinking of something else that I have going on. So
okay,
I'm gonna check it out, and then if it's not, then I'm gonna click in. So
yeah, of course,
everybody, you're absolutely right, Latanya. Because this was a master class. I don't care. This was a master class. This was the beginning of that. You know?
Oh, thank you. And please share with other people if they're not an educator. If they're not an educator and they are a professional, please share that with them as well, because we all need it. We all need it, because we all need to learn how to really tap into that intrinsic self so that we can be the best versions of who we were created to be. Because a lot of times we do not go, we can't go from level to level with the same mindset. We can't go level to level hanging around the same people. We can't go level to level when we aren't pouring into our own cups. So therefore, if there are people that are professionals, people that are just graduating from college and they're going to their next, like, this is definitely the masterclass for them. So if they're not an educator, but you believe that they can benefit from them, by all means, share the link. The more we have, the better we can become together.
I love that. And that's true. So the funny thing about this show is you don't have to be an educator, as you see, just from this episode, to get something, gain some information that's going to help you in life. I don't care if I'm talking about teaching 7-year-olds. If you have to talk to somebody or show somebody anything in life, which is, you really can't live without having to show somebody how to do something. So this is the place to be. And you made that, let us see that that's true, because
thank you.
Knowing that I don't have to live in a box, or that I can live in a growth mindset as opposed to a set mindset. So I'm loving this, and I appreciate you. So is there anything you want to take us out with? I didn't ask you that prior. Some nugget, you already left us with one thing you want to tell us as educators, or anybody who's listening, how anything about that growth mindset, that mindset shift.
Yes, absolutely. Know that you were created to be the best version of yourself, and know that you already have everything inside of you to be that champion that you've been created to be. So therefore, it is time that you unlock the champion that is within. Go out and be great and be transformed. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I tell people all the time, this is helping me, because I have things that I need to do, and then I get like, and then here you go, like, this is it. I just, you have comments. These people are excited about this kingdom. This is in kingdom building. This is how you build the kingdom, how you live in the kingdom.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Okay. And so, yeah, I'm excited about what you have coming up. I'm excited about this episode. And again, remember to like and share and subscribe. If you enjoyed the episode, remember to share with other educators, other people. This especially, we need to learn how to be our own champions. We need to learn how to live outside that box and grow and flourish. That's my word for this year, is flourish.
Yes, 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 absolutely, absolutely. And if I could just this one little thing and then I'm done. You said your word for the year, and I've also been sharing my word for the year too, is permission. I'm giving myself permission to unlock the champion that's inside of me. I'm giving myself permission to be the greatest version of myself. I'm giving myself permission to go to the next level, because sometimes we hold ourselves back, which is why we do not become the champions that we were created to be. And I'm really done this time. So please take me off before I get excited.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be a clip right there. Good to got it. Oh, that was fantastic. It's 7:00. Yeah. I admonish everybody to get a word for the year. We know we're using AI. Ask AI, put some information in about yourself and what it is you want to do. Ask them what could be words, or you put a bunch of words in. What could we use for this to be our word of the year? And then ask what music will go with this. But affirmations can go with this. And you have that and live it. Mine is flourish. And I have a whole playlist. I have affirmations. I have big sticky notes on my wall in my room. I can't take you in there. But yes, I mean, that's it. So thank you again. Like, share, and subscribe. This is Wynette Richardson with Educators with Oil. Thank you, Wynette.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Wynette. Thank you. It's been an honor and a pleasure. I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Have a great rest of your.
Subscribe to Educators with Oil podcast on your preferred platform and join Wynette on this mission to empower teachers through the wisdom of the Bible. Because when biblical strategies meet the classroom, extraordinary teaching happens.
Educators, let's shine a light on our classrooms. See you on Educators with Oil podcast, where teaching and faith unite.